Hey there, guys. If you don't know me already, I'm Dylan. I go by Outhouse Cartoons on most everything, and I'm also the creator of Combat Fairies, which is a trilogy of urban fantasy, action adventure graphic novels with kind of a punk aesthetic, and it's kind of sassy and snarky and funny at the same time. And the final volume of Combat Fairies is coming to Kickstarter on July 30th. So if you check out the link in the description, you can sign up to get notified when it goes live. Or if you're watching this a little bit later and it's already live, maybe you can check out the whole thing right now. And what I'm going to do today, right now in this video, is I'm going to draw one of those fairies. We're going to draw Kiani today. And one of the backer rewards that you can look into if you're interested is actually one-on-one drawing lessons as well. So if you like this, check that out. We'll do it a little bit slower when we're doing it together. I'll walk you through a little bit more step by step. We don't want to make these videos too crazy long right now, so I'm gonna be moving along relatively quick. But draw along with me if you want, and let's draw Kiani. So we gotta start with our this basic structure. Sometimes people never want to do this. They kind of skip over this part sometimes. They want to just go right into like detail, but nothing ever lines up and connects the way it's supposed to if you don't do this properly first. So always figure out that structure, figure out the shape of the head and how it attaches to the neck and all that stuff. Figure out your line of action and all that stuff. And you can be cartoony with it and you can exaggerate, but you still want things to line up in a way that makes sense. Let me do it this way here. So Kiani is kind of the wild one of the group, crazier one of the group, funnier one of the group. She's the one that I probably have the most fun writing. And I think she'd be my favorite while reading it as well. Oops. Forgot what I was doing there. There we go. So this kind of, I'm not using any reference for these videos. I do often use posing reference if it's suppose I've never done before. Or maybe just to help me figure out an idea for a pose, because sometimes you draw a character in so many different ways and you don't want to be repetitive. But I don't want to do anything too wild here with these poses in these videos. And I'm just winging it here. But notice I got this shoulder line and this kind of hip line. We're in the opposite directions of one another. Almost always get a stronger pose when you do that. And it's a lot closer to how we as people tend to actually stand and bend and stuff. You might be able to hear sirens in the background. Fairly sure they're not coming from me, if you're wondering. Fairly sure. But not positive. In addition to being the wild one, oops, Kiani's also the one that messes with magic. So they're fairies, so we can probably assume there's some magic properties in their DNA to begin with, but they don't necessarily all wield magic. But Kiani does. Okay, so we got our pose here that kind of makes sense. Now with Kiani, when I'm drawing her, so I always exaggerate my eyes, especially in the fairies. As I've probably said or will say on all the other videos. Sorry, my pencil's being a little weird here. But with Kiani, I tend to make the eyes a little bit more uneven. So one always looks a little bit bigger than the other. Just because it makes her seem a little bit wilder. And sometimes the big smile reflects that as well. And you'll also notice her with her tongue out reasonably often, including right now. We're going to have her tongue poking out right now. Physically, with the shape of their heads and their faces, Kiani and Ayla probably have the most in common. And their ears also both stick out the furthest as well, but Kiani's has an extra, like, couple curves in it. She's also got the most earrings of any of them. And maybe that's why her ears do this. Maybe that they're just weighed down. I don't know. So she's got two big hoop earrings. Oops. On her regular earlobe. Oops, there we go. Well, regular to us. Maybe just any other earlobe to a fairy. And then she's got an additional 3 earrings. Hoop earrings as well. Moving up on the rest of her ear. Right, we'll look at her hairline here. It starts kind of almost like a swimmer's cap. It's a straight line across. But then she's got these kind of extra, I guess they're kind of like bangs, but they're a bit more sparse and a lot more exaggerated. I don't know if you'd call those bangs. If we have any hair aficionados out there that want to chime in, feel free. Okay, we'll do the rest of her hair later. That kind of gives us an idea. And then now she's got 2 bags of magic tricks, we'll call them. Kind of these big heavy looking satchels. So we'll kind of give her one. You kind of start with this like bean shape, but then we can kind of define this flap that goes on the top. And there's like an extra pouch in front as well. And then we've got the clip that attaches the strap to it, and then that strap comes around here, and the double straps kind of serve as a top. Which to us humans might not seem all that practical, but it seems to work pretty well for the fairies. Alright. And that strap's got some more details on it as well. But we're going to get the other one figured out in there first. So, but I'm just seeing a little bit of this other strap, or sorry, other bag peeking out behind her there. So then this strap is going to come down like that, kind of like that. Kind of like that. Okay, now she's got a bunch of added trinkets. So she's got a blue ribbon for third place here, which is actually inspired by the Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies cartoons. I know some of them had the blue ribbon at the beginning of them. And then she's got a no smoking button as well. And then she's got, it's kind of supposed to be like the fairy equivalent of like the wings that a pilot might give a kid if he visits the airport, or they visit the airport, or not airport, sorry, the cockpit. There we go. She got another pin that's a yin yang. There we go. And then this one doesn't have any buttons, but it does have a strap. Sorry, a buckle. I can't speak today. There we go. There we go. Those straps accounted for. There we go. And now she's got a bracelet on this wrist. Like that. I'll consult my cheat sheet here, remind myself of what ring she's got on that hand. There we go. She's got the one on the pointer. While we're at it, let's do this one. I actually maybe could do this hand a little bit bigger, but honestly I think I'm just going to leave it for now. And then when I ink it, I'll try to make it a bit bigger. Okay, so she's got another bracelet on this wrist, but this one is kind of like beads, and then she's got some kind of leather strappy thing on that wrist as well. Like that. Now I can't really see her belly button too well, but she's got kind of these gold beads, almost like what Brietta has as earrings. She's got as a belly button ring. Okay, and then we'll do her belt that comes around underneath that. Belt buckle. Again, kind of similar to Ayla's, but a bit thinner. And also a little bit longer with this extra bit there. And her dress, or her skirt, is actually supposed to be kind of like a hula skirt, a grass skirt. Although admittedly, as it's evolved over the years, I feel like it looks less like that and more like a ragged loincloth or something, but whatever. It works, that's the important thing. There we go. Her foot back there. And then this leg. And then around this ankle, she's got 2 gold anklets and another beaded one. So There's 1, 2, 3. Define the foot. Hands and feet are usually pretty tricky for people. So here in these videos, I'm not taking the time to talk my way through that necessarily, but if that's of interest to anybody, let me know. Maybe we'll throw that into another video at some point. There we go. So now we do her hair. There we go. And she needs her fairy wings, so she's got 4 wings. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. Wait, that one should be a little bit bigger. Let's try that again. There we go. There's our 3rd one. And there's our 4th one. All right. Well, we're ready to ink this, guys. So ink we shall. I always like to ink what's in front first and then work my way back. So we're going to start with these spiky bang things. Like that. Like that. Like that. Bring the line down like that. And another one like that. And we're going to do a bit more detail on these as well, but let's just get all the basic shapes of them in there first. These ones that are a little bit closer to her face, I added a little bit of cast shadow underneath as well. Okay, we're going to just throw a few extra lines, and we're purposely being a little bit lighter with the pen. So those lines will be a little bit thinner than the other lines around them. Like that. Working our way through. And notice I spin the paper a lot. It actually makes certain lines a lot easier to do, so I definitely recommend you guys do it, especially when you're inking. And even if you're drawing digitally, you can usually rotate the canvas as well. Like that, there's her bangs done. So now let's do her face, shall we? Starting with her one big wide eye here. There's a time when I was a kid where I was very resistant to ever drawing eyebrows. And I don't really know why, because I had this big revelation at one point, probably as a teenager, where I started drawing eyebrows. And I was like, this looked so weird without eyebrows. What the hell was I ever thinking? Kiani has a slightly more defined nose than the other fairies as well. Maybe you've noticed, maybe not. Be careful with all these little tiny details, especially on the face. Specks on the tongue. There we go. There we go. So I'm drawing the upper line of her ear first. And then we're going to add the rest in once these earrings are in. So we got one. I did an animated short featuring the fairies a few years ago. It's on YouTube. If you want to check it out, called Peer Pressure. Spelled peer as in like a dock. And these characters were originally designed only for a comic book. Never really intended to animate them. And if I had, I probably would have designed them very differently. Because animating all these jiggling earrings every time she moved was a huge pain in the ass. So there we go. There's one ear done. Another ear there. Pretty cluttered over here with her bangs overlapping her earrings, but I knew the job was dangerous when I took it. There we go. There's her face done. Earrings and all. Draw her neck in. Make sure to have a little bit of a shadow. Her chin should cast a shadow on her neck. Bit of a clavicle there. Now let's do all the little trinkets on her straps. So here is her third prize ribbon. And her no smoking pin. It is implied that Kiani dabbles in some recreational stuff, but not a fan of cigarettes, as it turns out. Yep, there's her wings. Not her wings, but her button wings. And here's the yin yang. Oops. Screwed that up a bit, but we kind of fixed it. Happy accidents, folks. There we go. And we'll do the clip next that attaches it to the bag. So little squiggles there to imply some glare. Okay, now we'll draw the strap itself, making the one edge of it a little bit thicker, like the bottom edge of it, where it's presumably casting a bit of a shadow on her skin. And we'll do a little bit of hatching. Kind of apply all these little buttons and things are casting a tiny bit of a shadow. Apply a little bit of the texture in the leather as well. And now we'll do the buckle on her other one. And we'll do some hatching on this strap. There we go. Let's do her belly button ring here while I'm at it as well. I'm actually gonna adjust this a little bit as I ink it so it doesn't overlap her buckle quite as much as it had been. Well, there we go. And you know what? Let's do her belt buckle while we're at it too. There we go. And we'll do part of her belt itself. Other part, we'll wait till I finish the bag, but we'll do this part. And the little flappy part as well. With Ayla, she has a much thicker belt. So I make a point of adding a glare over top of it to help separate the layers of it. I'm a bit less concerned with Kiani's because it's a thinner belt. There's not much overlap happening anyway. But that is a thing worth noting. Alright, we're going to do the bag now. Her bag of tricks. Like Felix the cat had his bag of tricks. We're watching a kind of revival series of Felix the Cat in the 90s. And I'm telling my dad about it, and he said, does he still have his bag of tricks? And yes, he did. He's got to have the bag of tricks. Apparently Todd McFarlane sneaks Felix, or used to anyway, I don't know if he still does, would sneak images of Felix the Cat in all of his comics. I forget what the story is behind it, but okay, so now we're going to do hatching. Here we're being a little bit more specific with the hatching, just to kind of make this a bit more clearly defined as darker than elsewhere, but we're still going somewhat haphazardly. And some more there. Cast a bit of the shadow underneath the flap, and then also the bottom of the bag itself. There we go. And now we can do this other part of the belt, which we'll fill in later. All right, let's do her arm here. Let's do the armpit. On the bottom edge of the arm, we're going to make that a little bit thicker. Apply that through the shadows landing. Like that. Oops. There we go. And we gotta do the bracelet. addition to my one-on-one lessons that you can get through the Kickstarter, I'm also a teacher at Vancouver Film School, by the way, in the foundation program, if anyone wants to look into that. Or I teach a few classes on Connect, so I actually do a character design class. Do her fingernails. Okay, let's do this back part of her torso. Again, we'll add a little bit more thickness to it. Apply that light direction. And the other part of her bag strap is back there too, which we're going to fill that in with black, but we'll do that in a little bit. Okay, now let's do her hula skirt. There we go. And let's do this leg. The tucked up knee. So far, all the drawings I've done for these tutorials, they've had a knee tucked up, but that's not really a coincidence. It's just they fly. It seems like a thing. Yeah, Superman usually had a knee up too. Although this one's showing it at a slightly different angle for a change, so that's cool. I've only got one left so far that I haven't recorded yet. We'll see if we can't do something a little bit different with that one. There we go. And now we can also do the other part of her belt, or no, sorry, not her belt, her bag here. And while we're at it, let's do her other arm. Like I said, I think this hand could stand to be a little bit bigger, so we're gonna try to just slightly scale it up as we ink it. Fingers just a little bit longer and a little bit thicker, but not much. I think it was pretty close to the right size. This was like, it could be a tiny bit bigger. And then we're also going to make the bottom lines of these fingers slightly thicker. Also. Like that. And we're going to go around here. Alright, we just got one leg left. And we still have some hair and some wings, of course, but at least she'll be a functioning biped at that point. Imply that this skirt is casting a bit of a shadow on her. There we go. And let's pop down here and do her anklets. Fill that in. Add a little bit of a cast shadow. A couple more toes. There we go. Alright, let's do our wings. Oh, actually, wait, let's also... okay. Oof. Don't love how that line grazed her earring there. Let's see if we can do something about that. Yeah, that's a little better. Alright, we got the stem and our insecty veins, and we'll bespeckle them. Most of the fairies have different like wing configurations. Some have like 2, some have 4, some have 6. But the actual wings themselves are usually drawn pretty much the same way. Ayla's got dried leaves as wings for reasons you'll have to read to find out. And Cindy has got wings like anybody else, but but she's got tattoos on them, so they look a little bit different. And most of the other fairies you see throughout the series, even if they're not our main characters, their wings are more or less like what we're seeing here. There we go. There's her wings done. Now let's just do the hair here. One spike, and this one's going to come down and give us another spike. And we'll throw another one over there. That one's more like a bump now. There we go. And she's got a bit more of her hair is poking out here, the way it kind of curls up. And throw some extra lines to kind of imply individual strands of hair. Now in here, I'm going to do a fairly tight concentration of lines because it's going to make this part of her hair look darker, which is also going to give us a little bit of contrast between her face and the hair. So it probably would be darker anyway, but it also is just going to make things stand out a little bit more, like that. And then we're going to kind of do that over here as well, but not all the way across. We're just going to start like that. Because now she's hitting the light a bit more, so this again will give us our contrast, but we can thin it out. gets further and further away from her face. And presumably closer to where the light's really hitting her as well. I'm going to throw a few more here. Okay, let's throw our spot blacks in there, and then we can call this done. And we don't have a lot that we need to do here. We got to do this back strap from her bag. We got that, and we got part of her belt here. There we go. And then this other part of her belt. And then I think we might be done. I think that's it, guys. So we're going to give it a signature, or as Bob Ross would say, a signature. And there we go. There is Kiani all ready to go. So once again, guys, check out Combat Fairies Volume 3 on Kickstarter. All 3 chapters, all 3 volumes are available on there. So if you're just learning about Combat Fairies now for the first time, it's not too late. You don't have to start with Volume 3 if you don't want to. You can get all 3 as digital graphic novels or as printed graphic novels. And there's all kinds of extra digital goodies that come with it if you get the real thing. There's behind-the-scenes art book. There's the coloring book I mentioned. Also throw in a bookmark, a sticker, get an enamel pin as well. But there's all kinds of other stuff on there as well. You can get prints, you can get commissions, you can get one-on-one art lessons and all that stuff. And there's some cool stretch goals that'll unlock extra prizes and things for all the backers as well. So check that out. And come on back for any of these other videos that I've been doing. And remember, if you see a post, give it a like, give it a share, give it a comment. Any or all of those 3 things can help. So even if you can't back it, at least help other people discover it, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So thanks, everybody. Catch you next time.